G'day, all you legendary humans, and Jared. Thanks everyone for tuning into this week's podcast. Hope you enjoy it. I'm your host Jared, and joining me tonight on the pot noodle is John. How you doing, Johnny?
I'm good. It's been a while. I keep missing weeks here and there. Just been busy with life, and yeah, nice. I've missed this. I'm glad to be back again.
It's good to have you on, mate. It's been a while, so yeah, we'll have a bit of a chit chat about some Celtic here for you. So yeah, it's pretty quiet time of the year. I think there's not
Yeah,
much going on, is there? Really,
dead quiet. Nothing happened at all. So
nothing at all.
it's,
Just
we'll
just
just end the pod here. That'll be it.
yeah,
See
pretty
you next
much.
week.
Uh, had a derby, had a the split fixture happen, had a Scottish Cup final. Yeah, just a little bit going on.
Yeah,
So we're just going to focus on this pod in particular on the Scottish Cup semi final and a few other topics. But yeah, we'll just go through them all. So obviously Celtic 3, Aberdeen 3 in the Scottish Cup semi on Saturday. Celtic progressed 6-5 on penalties. So the starting lineup, as usual. The questions going into the game were, okay, what's Rodgers going to do? Is he going to keep the midfield together? Is it going to be Colmack off the bench? Is Awada going to start? We all thought Scales was still injured, so I was thinking the Roski'd start there. And who was it going to be? Was it going to be Yang or Forrest starting on the left with Maeda's injury? So that was pretty much the things I was looking at when the starting lineup comes out. So when we had a starting lineup of Joe Hart, Greg Taylor at left back, Alistair Johnson at right back, Scales and Carter Vickers back together. Then the midfield, I think it was for the first time since I think second or third week of the season, Hatate, McGregor and O'Reilly together in the middle of the park. And then Kyogo up front with Kun and Yang on the wings. So, yeah, for me, looking at that lineup, I was like, okay, this looks like we're going to be get out there and go for it, especially on the wide open spaces at Hampden. So, what was your thoughts when you saw the starting lineup, Johnny?
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, there was a couple of surprises there. I guess McGregor being one of them, but I guess he was building up his minutes, so shouldn't be completely unsurprising that he started and he's played for as long as he did. Um, I guess Yang was a surprise for me, despite everything else. I would have probably have put Forrest on. I think, as we'll probably come to, there's clear reasons why Forrest didn't start. And yeah, Scales' injury was just one of those ones that we all kind of had it on. At least somebody else started, and yeah, there he was. And again, we'll probably come to Scales later in this pod as well, but whether that was the right decision or not. But yeah, there was definitely some eyebrow raisers there, but yeah, got there.
Yeah,
Just
we got there in the end. What was it here? Robert Gibson said in the comments, we made hard work of that game, 100%. So morning to Stephen, today Andrew, take two for Jared, who tried to tune in last night for the game, not realizing it was a Sunday. That was why I said, all you legends and Jared, just to stir him up a bit. Stephen Kennedy, Yang was a wasted jersey on Saturday, clearly not good enough. We'll get into that later on the pod as well when we go through the players and everything. But yeah, for me, when I was looking at the game, it was a bit of a weird one, to be honest with you, because you got options are Yang, Palmer was one I didn't mention as well to play on the left, and then Forrest. And Forrest looks like he's got that Rogic syndrome now where he'll only give you that like max 60 minutes that he'll be able to play, like probably 30, 40 minutes consistently. But yeah, all things considered, though, it was a bit of a doozy. So just for me, the general first half, it was there wasn't really many highlighted points. There was a couple of goals, a penalty shout, and a couple of things that we'll just touch on. But the first half was a very boring game for me. Like I found that the overall performance level from the team pretty average. Wasn't what I was expecting. And yeah, if we play like that in the final, we're there to be got at. So we'll have to improve quite a bit. So yes, Jared, we're going to talk about Kun's goal. Don't worry. I know you got a man crush there. So Yeah, just the goals. I just want to touch on them real simple. So the game starts off 2 minutes in. Aberdeen goes 1-0 up with early goal to Miovski. The thing for me on that is the pass made that goal, split the two centre backs, inch perfect to Miovski making a great run in behind Carter Vickers, basically put him on some skates. He was turning him around in all sorts of circles. So looking at that there, that's the sort of goal. It was very Kyogo-esque for me, like what we would see. I know I don't want to bring on the Ange Claxton 6 minutes into the show, but under Ange the last 2 seasons, those early runs in behind the centre backs that Kyogo would make, where a guy like a Barter or a Jota would find an early cross into him, that was the sort of pass and run that we've seen the last 2 seasons. And it was a good finish by Miovski. Like, for me, that was the first time in that game in particular I've finally seen what all the hype's about.
Yeah, that striker that they've got, he's decent, right? He's like, in all relative terms, he's a decent striker, and he gave us a lot of grief as well. So he was definitely. I generally don't watch him. I don't watch Aberdeen at all, so I can only say what I saw on the day, and he gave us problems. So yeah, I'm all cards on the table sort of thing. I missed the first half because I was in Kingscliff at a leaving do, but I obviously I followed up and with the scores and stuff and what was happening, and I was disappointed that we gave away such an early goal, and obviously pleased that we brought it back, but yeah, not something that I expected, to be perfectly honest. I really thought that if there was going to be any early goal, it's very much a Celtic trait to do that. So a little bit shocked that we gave away something so early, but yeah, not good. And that striker gave us grief, like I said. So it's expected, I guess.
Gaddafi Semtex is saying that Miovski is very decent, great potential. My thing for him is he gives us something we don't have. He kind of looks like a combination to me of Kyogo and Giakoumakis. Putting together, he's a bit more mobility, Kyogo style, but he's got that Giakoumakis sort of size and frame about him where he can get in there and bump guys around and everything like that. So yeah, I'd be okay with us signing him, but yeah, who knows?
Yeah, he seemed to get a lot of joy when he was getting balls through the middle, rather than like Giakoumakis was very good at in headers and aerial and stuff like that. And I don't know if I saw any. I can't remember if I saw anything like that, but that seemed to be part of Aberdeen's game plan, was cutting passes behind our defense, and obviously it worked very, very well for them. So
he's good with a few flick-ons, Johnny. So what you're saying, headers, yeah.
Yeah. Look, if we were looking for a rotation striker or a backup that plays, I don't know, 20 games, 15 games a season, you wouldn't say no to somebody like that. Especially for the Scottish game and stuff. It's guy's got talent.
As I've said on previous shows, Johnny, bring Miovski in only, and I want to send them for 18-month, 2-year loan. They can have O for a couple of years, develop him for us.
Well, yeah, look, he's again, I can only say from the one game that I've watched him, but he's definitely a step up from O, I would say. O's still very much a raw talent.
I say that about O, and then you get Andrew here in the comments going, when you play one striker, Miovski's not as good as Kyogo. 100%, yep. But then he's gone, I'd stick with developing O. The thing about developing O is he's got to play to be developed.
Yeah. I think O's days are quickly becoming numbered. I think he's going to have some really good games in him. Otherwise, I think he might fizzle out, and we might start looking for a replacement.
Yep. So what we'll do is we'll get back to the game now. So the game was tied in the 21st minute, 1-1. Kyogo steals the ball off Aberdeen's centre back. I think it was McDonald or something like that. And he has a shot. It's cleared away by a defender slide tackling in, but Kun's on the spot to put the rebound away. I was good positioning to be there and support by Kun. So Jared, get in the comments. Let us know wax lyrical about Kun for the next 5 minutes. We know you want to.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to see Kuhn getting better and better and better. He's definitely someone that I think we all. I think so. There was some. I forget who it was, but there's some regular listeners who were talking about comparisons of. It was the Belgian league he came from, right? Am I wrong in saying that?
Who's that?
Belgium?
Sorry,
is it the Belgian league?
What's that? Kun?
That Kuhn came from?
They came from the Austrian league.
Austrian. I knew it was something like that. But there was comparisons in levels between what he was playing at and performing well in the Austrian league to the Scottish game and stuff, and he wasn't quite making it. Well, it wasn't apparent. And now I guess we're all starting to see it. He's definitely solidified himself in the starting 11. So yeah, good that he got that. He was there, ready to react after the Kyogo's attempt, and that's what you want out of striker wingers. You want like almost like another striker forward, right?
Yeah, so it was good support run from Kun. Nice composure to just keep it on the ground. Goalkeepers out of position, defend. One of the centre backs is chasing Kyogo. The other one's at slide tackling. So there's no centre backs there. So you're in the perfect spot. Instead of just trying to put the laces through it, it's just composure. Keep it on the ground. Get enough pace on it to get it in there before anyone can recover to it, and just put the ball in the net. And he didn't muck around with it. It was a nice, solid finish. I'm sitting here watching the game, and I'm like, yes. And then it was like 3, 2, 1. Look at my phone. Jared in the group chat.
Yeah, that was.
He had a bit of a delay on his stream, so straight away I was like, "Yep, I'm waiting for it." When it happened,
everyone. That's the worst thing about group chats. Everyone's got a stream at a different bloody minute, so you either know what's going to happen or somebody's still catching up.
It's called "Do Not Disturb," John. After that goal, I put it on. Turned it on, and I'm like, "Nah."
The worst one, just quickly, the worst ones were like the Champions League or the Europa League apps, because they would tell you before the fucking stream actually showed you the goal, so you'd already know who scored. Or I used to hate European nights and your phone buzzed. I used to absolutely hate it.
Still great fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it's horrible.
So there was a couple other things, talking points that happened in the first half. Wasn't really too much else. Joe Hart made a crucial save from a free kick. They put the ball into the back post. Greg Taylor tries to clear it, flicks it on towards the back post further, and Aberdeen player, I can't remember how to say his name, came through and he took a shot at the back post, and John was it Gartenman, the big centre back, comes in, and Joe Hart comes out, closes the angle down, and made himself big, and nice save there to keep it at 1-1 going into the break. Off the back of that as well, just after that happened, I think it was in stoppage time, Aberdeen had a penalty shout for a handball on Liam Scales. When you look at it, every single angle, it looks like his hand is over the line, which is a penalty, except for one angle where it shows his hand is outside the box and his foot is on the line. So because of that official measurement known as a bee's dick, that was not a penalty. The handball outside the box, they got their advantage, and play on. So first half, my opinion, pretty average, pretty slow. Like, it wasn't what I was expecting, and it was just, we were so disjointed, which we'll talk about later on. So let's see what comments we got to bring up before we get into the second half, Johnny. So
definitely sounds like VAR was on our side on that game. It was the first half and the second half.
Yep. Jared saying we couldn't complete a forward pass in that first half.
Yeah.
What do we got else? Stephen Kennedy saying Celtic should have tied that game up in the second half. Usual story, we conceded far too easily at the back once again. 100% agree with you on that. Talking about the Miovski stuff earlier on, Patrick McLaughlin saying, if this thing will show, I suggest Miovski wanting the Celtic move because he's upped his game since the last 2 times we've played the Sheep. Yeah, could just be that, he knows that the lights are on brightest when he plays us. For a laugh, we'll go here. Kyogo made that goal. Nicely finished by Kun. RL77 saying 5 subs these days, 30 minutes of Kyogo, 30 minutes Miovski, 30 minutes of Ida. Yeah.
If we keep either, that is, if we hold on to him,
Yeah.
might be staying at Norwich.
Yep. Patrick's saying Lagerbelka at Ibrox in September springs to mind when Kyogo robbed the Dons defender. I thought they were going to take it off us at first. Yeah, I thought there was a chance too. I was expecting Robertson to make the call against us because, he's a dirty cheating Hun, but, it didn't happen. So I was happy with that. And then you got some comments here about Scales. The worrying thing for me now is that Rodgers rates Scales as a better centre back than Naroski. Scales has always given his all, credit him for that.
Yeah, Scales had a particular shocker, I think, for the game. Like some real bad positioning was what I noticed. I mean, losing attackers and all that sort of stuff as well. But yeah, he had a proper stinker.
So, yeah, good point. Yeah, Gaddafi's Semtex Johnson allowing crosses too easily. Yeah, he had a case of the Taylors about him, particularly in the second half. So we'll get into that now. So, yeah, with the second half, I thought the easiest thing on that is it was 4 goals. I have so many dot points from my notes written down. This is ridiculous looking at them again now. So, yeah, we'll just go through quickly. I'll rattle a few off. So, Celtic 2-1. James Forrest comes on, and less than a minute later, comes in off the left wing, scores with the right boot with a peach of a finish. Fair finish from him there.
Very good finish.
Junior Hoylett, when he came on for Aberdeen, completely changed the game. They took Duck off, they put him on, and for me, that was a good sub for them. I thought their manager managed the game pretty well. So have Hoylett come on. He had got a note here, a couple of good chances saved. Firstly by Joe Hart, and then another one a couple of minutes later, cleared off the line by CCV. The next big chance of the game was Scales with a unmarked header going over the crossbar. Wide open, great cross come in and didn't even get on target. So that was a little very wasteful. Then I had tied 2-2. So Palmer gives the ball away softly at halfway. Hoylett puts in a nice cross to the back post, which is headed in by Sockler in the 90th minute. And then the last couple of chances in stoppage time, Palmer with the header at the back post is saved by Roos, and Ida with a shot from about 8 yards out, cleared by a desperation tackle from McKenzie, whereas the shot goes straight into the side of his head. So just on that, I'll give credit to both teams there. Both teams created a lot of chances. Now, how you work it out is, were our chances down to skill or actually managing to get the forward pass to connect going forward? Because that was the biggest issue for me, particularly the whole game. Our midfield was rubbish. There was, and that's something I was going to talk about later, but the play from the middle of the park was absolutely shocking. Like, I think we missed Awada when he came on. I think it was like a little bit, you can't expect him to do everything else. And then you have a look at it and go, them coming forward, that cross coming in over the top, Scales they're targeting the space between Scales and Taylor with the high ball. They're putting 2 big strikers, whether it was Miovski or whether it was a centre back thrown in there, they were putting 2 guys going in there with that cross coming in from Hoylett. So they're targeting the short guy in Taylor on the cross. They're getting Scales to have to turn around, lose sight of the ball, trying to get to a position to get ahead of the ball, getting him out of position. And at the same time, Johnson's not closing down the cross well enough. So it was like a complete nightmare across the whole back line. But yeah, what was your thoughts on the second half, John? And
there's so much to unpack. I mean, all right, let me just piggyback off what you're saying, right? That's exactly what they did, and they got so much joy from it. We were making them look better than they were. And I think, and I have to caveat everything, but I think that Aberdeen played fantastically. I thought they got their tactics really spot on. And I think in our defensive play, we were very, very weak and very chaotic. But you are absolutely right in saying that is specifically what they were doing, because you saw it again and again and again, and they got 2 really, really good goals out of it, like doing that exact thing, right? To break it down, I think Johnson have a downward trend in his performances since Ange left. I think the really, really good AJ that we all absolutely loved was under Ange's system. And I think since Rodgers has come back in, it's either the tactics don't suit him, but I don't quite get that, because Rodgers does love an overlap, right? He really does love his fullbacks going up, and that's kind of what he was expected to do with Ange as well. Or something else has gone on, and he's just not, and he's been complacent, or I can't really put my finger on it, right? But I have noticed that his performances have dropped. I'm not even saying that they're now like really, really bad. I'm just saying the level that we saw him at, where was that? Why is it in the first season or it was like fantastic, and now it's not average, but it's like average, maybe 6 out of 10 performances. And it's kind of not what you want. You need it to be a bit more than that. And not letting the crosses in is just, that's schoolboy stuff, surely. Like, stop the crosses is what you hear at like Sunday league stuff. Like, so it was not something that it surprised me that Johnson, who's a very, very good player overall, was allowing stuff like that to happen. So something else was, for me, something I can't put my finger on, but I think he had a particularly poor performance, second half especially. And then the Scales and Taylor stuff, right? That's all they were doing. We can see that there's a weakness there. If you believe the rumors, Celtic clearly see a weakness there, and that's why they're going in for a better centre back in the transfer window. It has to be addressed. I understand that Rodgers likes Scales, and I think he likes Scales in the same way he liked Boyata. If you put the bloody effort in, and you are seen to be like training hard and going above and beyond, you're going to get in the team and you're going to get preferred over anybody else. So clearly the other defenders aren't putting in that type of work. Scales has put that type of work in, and that's why he's getting picked. But he's clearly weak. He's clearly not what we need long term. So and teams will consistently exploit that weakness. They will. So not good, needs to be addressed. And then
on that, can I just jump in with the whole Taylor thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been targeted by us 2 straight years in Europe, and teams domestically are now starting to do the same tactic that's worked in Europe. And it's not just the teams at the top of the table, like Aberdeen. Yeah, the sum of their parts, they're better than where they are on the ladder. But it's even teams like on the weekend when we go and play Dundee, I think you'll see them targeting them, doing the exact same thing. So it's teams, like, if it works, teams are doing it. So, yeah, it's just, I don't know. I think it needs to be upgraded. The left back spot needs to be fixed, and our centre backs need to be sorted out too.
Yeah, that's real priority stuff. I think there's a lot of gaps that we need filled, and I think the summer transfer window will be goalkeeper, centre back, left back as a highest priority. And then I think other positions, we'll probably buy a forward because we always seem to. So we'll have other spaces, and then probably midfield if O'Reilly moves on and stuff. But yeah, look, it's a weakness. Our defensive capabilities are so bad. It's so bad, and I can give a lot of benefit the doubt to our midfield, who you also expect to have defensive duties, because we've got 2 just coming back from injury, and O'Reilly is literally the only person dragging that midfield along. Like he must be so burdened by carrying Hatate and McGregor at the moment. Like like you could see, I'm starting to see frustration in him when he's playing and stuff. But the midfield was bad. But you also need a midfield to work, and you got that when Iwata came on, right? So, but to get off the negativity train for a second, I did think that when Forrest came on, it was phenomenal, and I noticed at least a lot online, people talking about those the Brendan Rodgers comments about what he said about being the best winger at the club and stuff. And like, I think that was obviously an exaggeration, but his movement was so much better than the wingers that we play regularly. Like I think Michael Stewart was talking about how varied it was and how unpredictable it was and how it gives you something different. And you could see that. Like, it was just so joyful to watch a winger. You knew something was going to happen. Forrest's first strike was almost a goal, and his second one was a goal. That's special. If he can, like, I know he's not exactly a massive personality, or I'm led to believe he's not a massive personality, but if he can just sort of like pass on advice to some of the other younger wingers, like the Palmers, who are a bit selfish, and the Yangs, who seem to do a lot but not really get anywhere and stuff, and if they can become something really decent, then getting that would be phenomenal. It would be the best thing you get. But I think Forrest has got another year, so if that, it was just a joy to see him play again. Obviously, his fitness is why he's not playing, because he didn't last. I can't even remember how long he played for. Was it like 40 minutes or half an hour or something? But
no, it was a bit more than that, I think. I'll check for you now.
I think he came off in the second half of.
Came on in the 62nd minute, and he came off in the 119th. So he played 67 minutes.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, I mean, and it came off with a niggle, right? That was the idea. That's what
He came off to put on another centre back to try and hold the lead. That's right.
I thought if I remember right, it was the reason why they put another centre back on was which didn't literally came on and they scored. But I think he was I think he had a limp, or he was holding a injury. Yeah, it was something like it was a cramp or something. But it's clearly fitness is why he's not. He is getting to that age where he's gonna get injured more regularly. But yeah, I'd love to see him play more, especially European games and stuff. You can get 60 minutes out of him, 70 minutes. He definitely changes stuff. Very experienced winger, and it was just really nice to watch him again. And what a good goal! It was a brilliant goal.
There you go. Stephen Kennedy saying it. Forrest was not injured. It was a tactical change from Brendan. Yep, that's what I thought as well. The thing with Forrest when he come on, what you're saying, John, and I liked it, was the variation in his play. Because first half, we had Kun on the right, Yang on the left, and all they kept doing, even though they were getting shown all this space out wide, they kept inverting, kept coming in, and dribbling into another defender. We didn't really go, okay, like, I know it's a bit of a hard comparison, but say if you take Yang on the left, right, and you put Jota in that spot, if that Jota comes inside once or twice, he can't get anywhere, what's he doing the third time? Going to the byline, cutting in, making the defenders have to turn around to clear the cross. If Abada was on the right and he can't get inside on these first two, he's going outside on the third time. So that variation just wasn't there. Forrest brought that. So, yeah, well, Stephen's saying we forget Forrest is only 31, but he debuted when he was like 17, 16, something like that. So he's got a lot of 32. So he's got a lot of miles on the legs. But yeah, I don't think he'll play more than an hour in most games. Stephen Kennedy saying Jamesy Forrest is a Celtic legend.
I think forwards tend to retire a little bit earlier, though. Am I right? They do.
Yeah. Wingers tend to lose your legs. Once you lose your pace and you get a couple of knee injuries or whatever, then
yeah. So what I was meaning by, like, if Forrest could just help the lads along, even if it was just like them trying to emulate what he does, like that, like just by leading by example. Like, you're absolutely right. Like if Jamesy had space in front of him, he would try and drag players out. He would try and force something to happen that wasn't just, running at defenders and it tends to be a case. I think back to like Mikey Johnson does that a lot, and I know he's ripping it up at West Brom and stuff, but that was always a criticism from me, at least, of what he consistently did was just hold on to the ball, try and dribble around 5 players and get a shot. And it's like, you need to get, and it's Palmer does that too much, right? And it's just if you just looked at what Jamesy does and just tried to copy it, your game would develop massively. Even if it's not like him, taking him aside and say, hey, this is how you do this sort of stuff. It's just a huge asset. And I think that game really showed it, to be honest. Then second half, phenomenal.
Yeah. just going to jump on a comment here from Scotty. A butter isn't at the club, mate. Pissed myself laughing. I bet you listen to what I said and give yourself an uppercut, because I said Jota on the left would have gone inside twice, gone outside, and then said Abada would have come inside and then gone outside. I'm talking about guys who played in that system and for this club last season as a comparison, mate. So pissed myself laughing at you, buddy.
I think it's okay to compare, previous players. We do it with everybody else, right? Yep. Previous players and current players.
Yep, 100%. So, yeah, we go into into extra time. So, Celtic 3-2, goal by O'Reilly, top right corner off a cutback from Johnson in the first half of stoppage time. So in that one there, our winger, which was Forrest, goes wide on the right, draws the left back out, which opens space for Johnson to run into, get to the byline and put a cross or a cutback in. Ball gets through to O'Reilly, bang, into the top corner. Funny that, similar to what we were just talking about. So it was a nice little segue there. So it was a good finish from us. Also in the second half of extra time. So going on a second lot of extra time, Aberdeen get a second penalty shout. Foul given by Don Robertson against Aberdeen for the foul into Johnson prior to CCV clattering into their player for the penalty. What do you think of that, John?
It's a hard one. Look, I'm going to take my rose-tinted spectacles off for a second. I think it's a penny, if I'm being very honest. I think they deserved a penalty. Whether it was a previous foul and therefore the penalty is irrelevant. I don't know if what was it, Premier? I don't know if Premier Sports showed enough angles for me to take a decisive opinion on. Yeah, that was definitely a foul. I think players clash sometimes in the box, and I think just going down as not necessarily a foul, right? But yeah, it's a hard one. Look, if we remove the foul from the equation, I don't think any of us are debating whether it's a penalty or not. I think silly arguments online about overextending and trying to get the ball and stuff doesn't really matter, does it? The fact is, if you kick an attacker in the box anywhere, it's going to be a penalty, right? I personally don't know if I saw enough for it to be a foul and therefore rule out the penalty. I feel if it was the other way around, I'd be extremely hard done by. But is what it is. Sometimes you get someone, sometimes you don't. There's plenty of decisions that Celtic never gets. It just sucks to be an Aberdeen fan, I guess.
I agree with you 100% there, Johnny.
In general, but also in this particular situation, it does as well.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Johnny. For me, I thought it was a pen. I didn't think there was enough contact in the Johnson thing for him to be down and get the free kick. But yeah, if it was the other way around, as you said, I'd be wanting the penalty myself as well. So I got no problem with the Aberdeen players and fans wanting it. I got no problem with us getting the call, because we've had ones like, other things like that go against us. So yeah, it all levels out apparently. That's what we've been told for years. But anyway,
that's it. Yeah, and I think just on O'Reilly's goal, obviously very, very well worked by Forrest. 20% luck there. Going through just the right gap to get to O'Reilly was fortunate, but well worked and deserved. But yeah, there was a bit of a just the result in general, but there was a bit of luck for us there.
Yep. Then they equalise again with a pretty much a repeat move from the equaliser from the end of the regulation time. Hoylett puts in the cross again, the back post. McDonald heads it in the 119th minute to equalise. Now, the thing I noticed on that from the wide view was we had 3 centre backs on at the time.
Yeah.
And what I noticed was people are saying, "Oh, how can we concede a header at the back post with 3 centre backs?" It's pretty simple. It's pretty simple when you get the side angle. When you look to
Yeah.
the side angle, and you can see as the cross is about to come in, Carter Vickers and Miovski step up to play the offside trap, and Scales takes a step back to cover a run and plays everyone on side. That's how you concede it.
Yeah.
But they targeted that spot between Scales and Taylor again, and that's what happened. So, yeah, it was a bit of a doozy there, all things considered.
It was just look. I understand people are saying it was tactical, but it was just so bloody Celtic to put on a defender to see the game out. And what, like 2 minutes later, we conceded a goal. It was, God, my heart absolutely sank. I hate penalties. I absolutely hate penalty shootouts. So I almost couldn't be arsed watching it. But sitting up till past midnight, you have to put yourself through it, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's
You're not
it.
going to sit up to be like, oh, fuck this, I'm going to bed now.
there's
Penalties, I'm going to bed. And then the
yeah,
penalty over and you're wide awake, wired for the next 2 hours. And next thing you know,
yeah.
it's 4 a.m. and you still haven't had a wink of sleep. Yeah, I know that.
I can't. They're not nice. I'd rather like have I don't know, golden goal or something. Next goal wins something. Would be there for ages probably, but I just penalty shootouts. My heart's in my mouth the entire time. So just hate them.
Fair enough. So what do we got here? I'm just going to bring up a few comments here now. We've got through to that spot. Hey, I wasn't seeing things at stupid o'clock. Thanks, Andrew. Yeah, so what I was thinking as well is off the back of that where it was tied and it went to the penalty shootout. Like, you see, we got to the penalty shootout and I'm looking at it going, who's going to take 5 shots for us? That was my thought straight away with the lineup that we had on the field at that point in time. I was like, who's going to be our penalty takers? I could not figure it out for the life of me.
Yeah, we did because we took the one that you'd absolutely say is a surety off, right? Yeah. They would all come off.
Yeah, so you're looking at it going, okay, no McGregor, no Hatade, they'd take him. No Kun, he'd probably take one. No Kyogo, he'd probably want to take one. Okay, cool. So you're rattling all that, and then you got James, he'd probably take one as well. So who's going to take your penalties? You got like 3 centre backs, a goalkeeper, and a defensive midfielder on at that point in time. So yeah, I was looking at going, oh no, who's going to take our penalties? I had no idea. So
they were similar though as well, though, right? They had taken a lot of theirs off as well with cramp and stuff, and I think they had 2 academy players or like went through their academy. I meant, but yeah, like really young lads taking their penalties.
Yeah, it was their issue was that they had a lot of guys going down with cramp.
Yeah, they did.
That's what hurt them, and they'd got 2 guys taken off for yellows as well. So 1, 2, 3. So both teams had the 6 subs because you got your 5 during the game and then you 1 in extra time. So both teams used their full quota of subs, and it was just a interesting thing here to figure it off. But yeah, I was looking at it. Stephen is saying in the comments here, I didn't fancy us for penalties as I don't think Hart has ever come close to saving in a Celtic jersey apart from Saturday. He did save one down here in the Sydney Super Cup, and that's about it.
Yeah, he did as well. Yeah, right.
I had to look back into some stats. Right, in a top flight game that he's played since he's left Man City, so that's across Torino, Burnley, West Ham, and Celtic. How many penalties do you think he's saved in all those years?
20.
He's saved 20 penalties, you're saying?
Yeah, I'm going really low.
It's not
low.
That's really high.
I'm thinking about, so he's gone through his entire career.
No, so take his Man City years out. So in the last 7 or 8 years, right? How many penalties do you reckon he would have saved?
4.
That's more like it. It was 3.
All right.
4 now that he saved that one on the weekend.
Wow.
And none in the last 4 years.
There you go. All right. That's mad. That is That's just not a part of his game. There you go. Which is crazy because he's a good shot stopper, right? So you kind of would have expect that would be just part of his game, right? You just expect him to be able to save a penalty, but clearly not.
I'm loving this here. So Robert Gibson's response to that question, not many. And then Hart moves so well, he'd be better off standing still. Podcast got its episode named Joe Hart saved a penalty for a reason, obviously, John, with that. When I'm sitting here wide,
I'm not trying to calculate how many years he's played and like, or how many penalties might he have gone up against.
I basically did this, Johnny, where I'm sitting here wide awake, just in here till like almost 4 a.m. going, I'm not even tired, bloody. So I'm like, I'm going to check this stat out, and got in there and went down a rabbit hole upon a rabbit hole, upon a tangent, upon another rabbit hole, and down a wombat warren and all sorts of stuff. And next thing you know, you get your stat.
He came very close quite a few times. I think there was 2 that rolled underneath him. Do you know what I mean? So like, you could feel it coming. And I don't think, I can't remember.
One that hit his fingertips and went in. And
yeah,
there was
that's
one
right.
that went just under his forearm, and there was another one that went just under his hip. So they were pretty close on 3 of them. You're
right. So he was getting there. It's just it's just surprising that he doesn't save that many penalties. But obviously, we need to crucially talk about him taking the penalty. I think that's an.
We're about to go through that, Johnny. So
all right, here we go. I'll leave you to it. All right.
So I had it as penalty shootout: Ida 1-0, McGrath 1-0, Palmer 2-1, McDonald 2-0, O'Reilly 3-2, Sockler 3-0, Bernardo 4-3, Duncan missed, hit the post.
And you're thinking, here we go.
I'm like, here we go. Joe Hart steps up for the 5th, puts it in, game over. But now, Johnny, over to you.
Yeah, well, I understand from his interviews afterwards that he's pretty much insisted he's taking it, right? Because, as you said, Jared, we had defenders on the pitch, right? It still really shocked everybody, obviously, that the goalkeeper steps up. Normally, if you go through, 10 penalties, maybe the goalkeeper's the next one or something, right?
You go, Patrick, saying that too, John. Old school, maybe the keeper shouldn't take penalties.
Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah, so it was, and I think somebody else mentioned in the comments that one of the best bloody penalties that it was Iwata's, and why on earth Iwata didn't step up instead of Joe Hart? But and the only reason you can, it has to be the simplest explanation, right? Joe Hart's insisted. He has said, if this is the scenario I've been practicing, I've got the mentality, the confidence, I'm going to do it. And we've gone, right, fair enough. You've stuck your hand up, so you do it. So, I mean, obviously penalties are jittery, right? So if somebody feels like they're dead confident in doing it, then and you've got no other option, you're hardly going to say no to the vote. So look, it shocked us all. It was a absolutely shite penalty. He fucking it could just completely twatted the post, but he made up for it, right? So he was still the hero. Somebody said villain to hero in 2 minutes or whatever it was, and I think that's pretty close.
I was trying to find another comment that I saw as well about. I'm just trying to find it here. Here we go. Patrick's one makes me question the 6 shite bags who cowered behind Hart and allowed that to happen.
That's it, right? Just surely, I mean, see if you. I don't know. Like, I understand it's a big event, but see if you're young and you're like, oh, I could be a real hero. I'd be absolutely chomping at the bit. I'd be like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll take it. This is, I want the chance to put us through to the final, and they weren't, and that just shows you the psychology of the people. As you were saying, I mean, cowardly is obviously slightly pejorative, but shows you their mentality, right? They're like, oh no, I'm not being the villain. I'm not doing it. You can do it.
Well, that ties into the mentality of a penalty thing because Hart missed, Hoylett scores to make it 4-4. Alistair Johnson as your next man up. I thought that was one of the best penalties of the whole shootout. Johnson's when he's got up, no mucking around, and Milne equalises to make it 5-5, and then Iwata steps up with an absolute cracker of one as well.
Yeah,
and then talking about mentality, Phillips before the miss, what happened after Iwata's goal? Roos stays down with cramp. He walks down. He then starts to walk back to his team. Then he comes back. And the second time he approached the spot, he looks like he's bricking it. He's got like
Yeah.
no. He looks like, okay, it's been too much of a break. Shit me pants here. I'm about to get out there, and he just got in his head by the looks of it, and it threw him off. And then Hart's made his save to get his redemption. So, and get his save. So, yeah, I just thought you're talking about mentality and everything there, John. That ties into it as well.
It does. It does. Look, I understand, right? It's a huge occasion. And if you're young, I guess it's worse. And as you say, like the events must have amplified it hugely. And I've never experienced it, and I've never even experienced anything close. So it's very easy for me to sit in my armchair and say, "Oh yeah, you should have just gotten up," like you say, you shite bag. But I just think, especially if you're young and and if you're at a team like Celtic as well, where you can really make a name for yourself and be folklore hero and stuff, get up, go do it. Do you know what I mean? And if you score it, your confidence is going to skyrocket, right? Just focus on that. But look, Joe Hart's a leader. He's years of experience, right? And I guess for him retiring, he wants that fairy tale ending. So I think he kind of mentioned something similar like that in an interview where it's like, I'm obviously thinking about the end and how it goes and stuff. Where he said he wanted it a quiet end where he sort of just everything's tied up and everything like that, but it's dead exciting and stuff. So I can understand why he wants to do these sort of things. And I'm dead shocked that we went, yeah, go on then. Yeah, all right, Joe. Here's a chance.
Here's some comments. RL77. How good would it have been if Hart's penalty just crept inside the post? Stuff of legends.
Yeah.
And then Andrew follows that up saying every keeper thinks he's a striker.
Pretty much, yeah. They're all mad, right? Yeah.
I love a mad keeper, so it's good fun. So,
but I think crucially, we'll be talking about the time at a semi-cup final that our keeper went up for a penalty, missed it, and then saved the next one, put us through. So he's still got his story, right? He's still got his
folk story.
That's it. Yeah.
Yep. So I think the last couple of things to talk about is I thought there was a lack of energy in various positions during the game, particularly in the midfield. I touched on that earlier. Awada coming back in, stabled things down. Off the back of that, something that stood out like dog's balls on the other side of it was the Aberdeen midfield and the energy coming from Connor Barron that they had. Now, apparently he's out of contract in the summer, and we've been linked with him in the past. I would not be against us signing him up. 21-year-old or 20-year-old Scottish under-21 player. He'd help for the European thing as well, and he's got legs. He reminds me of a young Kelmac. So I'd be very happy if we could sign him up.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to touch on that one in particular. We've also spoken already. My other notes was about the issues with centre backs being out of sync, particularly Scales being out of position, covering quite a bit for Taylor. That's why I found like Taylor, that targeting spot between Taylor and Scales was constantly dragging Scales out of position and made him had a bit of a shocker. So, yeah, I just thought that was an issue. But player focus, John, I'll throw it to you. Both teams, if you've got any players you want to touch on that we haven't already spoke about, the floor's yours.
I think from the Dons' perspective, we've kind of already spoken about the players that I thought had like real highlights for me in their forward. You make a very good point about their energy. I think overall we had a poor game and they had a fantastic game, which is why it all evened out. But you're right, their energy was brilliant. When they smelt blood, they really went for it, and it really shook us. So see some of those players that you were mentioning, that like we're going to need more of those the Scottish players to qualify to get. I can't remember what it is, but you know what I mean. Like for Europe and stuff, you have to have a certain amount of homegrown and all that sort of stuff. We're going to need those, and we're in desperate need of actual proven ability across like in the subs especially and across the squad and stuff. So if we can pick up good deals, under sort of 3-4 million from other Scottish teams, we need to start doing that again. We haven't done it in a while properly, so we really need to do it.
The talks Barrett and Lennon Miller at I think he's at Motherwell.
Yeah. Again, that's another team that I've been we had success with Turnbull and stuff, but we do need to be looking to teams like that we'll get good deals with. That's probably like a $1.5 million, $2 million deal sort of thing. But I think for me, my man of the match was Forrest, and I know that might not be. I think I'm probably just because I love the dude, but yeah, I think he just talking about energy. The energy he brought on the pitch when he came on, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, and he really drove the engine for a bit there. So good, it was good. Want to see more of it.
So for me, I want to bring up a couple of comments here for the player focus. Andrew Galea, McGregor, yeah, I think he's still carrying an injury. He's not at 100%, and he should not be starting the rest of the season.
Yeah,
until he's fully fit. Pegleg, I love his comment. Miovski came on and did nothing.
Very much. Yeah.
Came on for a minute.
Yeah.
We conceded a goal, and then he didn't even take a penalty. So, yeah, I can see your point.
Yeah.
And Martin earlier on asked this, did you call him Duck? Yes, I did, and I call him Duck again.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't matter what we call him. He's some other random player. Yeah.
Jared was saying Doig for left back, Yengi is backup striker, and then get in Barron and Miller, and then start getting some more. I'd like to see more of Bernardo. Yeah, it's a good shout too. So the last player I wanted to touch on is a player focus. It's not even one of ours. You mentioned your man of the match was James Forrest. My man of the match for how badly the game swung away from us when he came on was Junior Hoylett. I thought he was completely changed the dynamic of the game. That running that way all game, that he can get in that Johnson opened up the space between Scales and Taylor for those two crosses to come in for those assists of their goals. So it's odd that I would say the man of the match isn't one of our players, but yeah, for me, I thought he made the biggest impact on the game overall.
Yeah, look, I really don't disagree with you, Jared. I think you've nailed the moment. I didn't realize that was the moment, but I think you've nailed it when they really shifted. And like I say, when they started to smell blood, that was that moment, I think, of when he came on. And I think it was like just after Jamesy scored, sort of thing. So like that sort of like, I don't know, 65 minutes or something. And then the whole game just turned. But yeah, it's hard for me to say as well, like you were saying, like it's hard to give him man of the match, but yeah, he definitely kept them in it for the game, basically. Yeah.
All right. So we'll crack on. That's for you, Jared. The Huns win 2-0 against Hearts in the other Scottish Cup semi, meaning we play them in the Cup final at Hampden on the 25th of May. What a date. It's written in the stars. A very special date in the club's history. And we can win the Scottish Cup and send Joe Hart off a winner. I like the looks of that.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. That would be a fantastic final, to be honest. Did any of us expect any different? Probably not. I thought I saw it written in the stars. It was going to be Glasgow Derby in the final. Yeah, electric it will be. I'm looking forward to that game, and it'll be a great game for Hart. Yeah,
both teams will be playing for a double that day. We'll have the league, they'll have the League Cup, and both teams will be playing for a double.
What a narrative! You're absolutely right. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm touch wood and all that, but as long as we don't majorly slip up, I think one more slip up from them, I think the league's pretty much tied away. If we beat them at home, it's most certainly done. So yeah, you're right. It'll most probably be both wanting a double.
Robert Gibson sums this up here as our Hearts rolled over again.
Yeah.
You notice since they came out of their grave as a new club and they played Hearts in the top flight, it's like 0 wins, 2 draws, 12 losses for Hearts against Rangers. So, yeah, I wasn't expecting any different.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes teams have a bogey team, but yeah, it's a bit suspicious.
Us this season, it's Killy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good fun.
It's been Aberdeen in the past. It's been Aberdeen in the past.
And it's been Livy.
And it's been Livy as well.
Yeah, on the plastic. So the PFA Scotland Premiership Team of the Year was announced. 4 Celtic players make the team in Scales, CCV, O'Reilly, and Kelmack. Do you want to know the rest of the team, Johnny?
All Rangers players.
No,
No,
not
right.
quite. So you got Butland in goals, Tavernier, and Lundstrom. That's the only 3 Rangers players.
Right.
And then so it goes Butland, then it goes Tavernier, Carter Vickers, Scales, Owen Beck, Dundee.
Okay.
Middle of the park, the midfield is McGregor, Lundstrom, O'Reilly. How the hell does Lundstrom get in there?
Yeah.
And then up front is Shanklin, Miovski, and Bear from Motherwell. It's very odd that there's not a striker from either of the 2 Glasgow clubs in that PFA Premiership Team of the Year.
Oh, well, Dessers is hardly fucking getting in there, is he?
It's Sam Lammers in.
You put anyone in front of him,
Yeah.
but yeah, right, okay. And that was for the Players of the Year, Player of the Year.
That's the PFA, so the Professional Footballers Association.
Team of the Year sort of thing. And Scales is in there.
Scales is in there at centre back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
Maybe I'm being a bit jaded by recent performances there, but that was a bit of a surprise.
I'd say he's been in our top 3 all season, but yeah, I don't know about that. I reckon there's probably a couple other centre backs that probably feel hard done by.
I would have agreed with you there. Yep. Yeah.
Darren O'Day has been appointed as professional player pathways manager at Celtic. So basically, his job will be coming away from managing the B team and managing any player out on loan and managing the pathway for players from the B team to their loan deals to get into the first team. So I think that's my opinion. I think it's a good appointment in terms of the position. Now, I want to ask you, John, are you happy with that appointment, or do you think we should have looked externally before finalising it?
Well, I remember there were some comments in our group chat about that exact thing. And that is definitely something that I think we should have considered. We might have actually considered it. We don't know. We don't know the ins and the outs of running the business. I'll answer your first question. Am I happy? Yes, I'm happy. I think that is a very, very good position to define. I think it's something that we have talked about for a long time, years and years. We've been talking about the conveyor belt, making sure we're developing our loan players, making sure we're developing our youth players, giving them a clear career path, saying to them that, like, if you do this, you get to this. If you do this, you get to that. Making sure you hit milestones. There's nothing more demoralizing when you work for a company and you just know you're never getting promoted. You unless something major happens, you never get in the position above, right? The only thing you ever do there is you leave and you go to another company. And at the end of the day, this is a career for these guys, and they must feel the exact same when you say to a youth player, unless something major happens, there's no chance you ever get into Celtic because we're always going to buy the best talent somewhere else. But hopefully what this means is we're saying to them, look, there's always the opportunity for you to play for Celtic's first team squad, but these are the milestones that you need to hit. How can I help you get there? That's really good that we've actually defined that, and we've got someone actually being, I don't want to call the manager, but championing that idea and sort of making sure that sort of happens and stuff. That's brilliant. We've also discussed that what we sometimes focus very much on the sort of Celtic sphere, the Celtic ecosystem, and we never really look outside. We never go and look for the best talent to come in, and we could be looking at places in Scandinavia or even Japan or Australia. Actually, Australia is a brilliant place when it comes to like sports development, probably up there as some of the best in the world. Same with the Americans, right? Why are we not looking in these sort of places and sort of bringing in, look, you can come and you might be starting your career out in Australia, and why don't you come over and start in a European team doing this, championing this? It might just be temporary. I think Darren O'Day is a good personality for to be in and around Celtic, but I'd have been a bit more sort of like fantastic. What an achievement if we got a known, I guess, external coach in, which might actually just be bias against ourselves, but that's kind of how I feel, to be honest.
Imagine if we had have gone out and brought someone in from the Benfica Academy, for instance, considering we've been buying Bernardo and Jota from them, and we know that they have that pathway. If we brought in someone who was like the second in charge in the same role for that role there, people would be like, wow, that's a statement move. But it kind of looks like jobs for the boys a little bit, even though I have no doubt Darren O'Day is going to do a good job in that role because we need someone there.
Yeah,
and
that's it.
Plus. And the next moves that we're hearing off the back of that is that the guy taken over from Darren O'Day will probably be Charlie Mulgrew taking over the B team, from what I'm hearing, with an assistant manager. I don't know whether assistant manager or coach in the first team or with the B team. He's going to have Johnny Hayes coming in with him.
I don't know. I don't know if it's a case of Celtic makes business decisions where they go, we need the position to start happening. Therefore, we're going to go with people who are competent that we know, and so we can trust, and they can start, and they're happy to start straight away, rather than going like, oh, we need a position filled, so we're going to go and like try and recruit in the same way you would recruit for like a C-level position or something like that. I just don't know why they particularly do it. There are sometimes problems in businesses where you scream down the same echo chamber, same people sort of saying the same things, and there's no new ideas. So I think that's kind of that's what it boils down to for me. It's like we're not even exploring the opportunity of getting someone who might have different opinions, might have different ways of doing it, new information that we've not considered. That's why I've even forgotten his name. Who was the CEO that we had coming in from rugby?
Don Mackay.
Don Mackay, right? That's why that could have been potentially a fantastic appointment, and it was because it was somebody different with new ideas, and we chased them. So I think it's a trend that we have at Celtic where we get ex-Celtic players or people affiliated with the Irish national team, or do you know what I mean? Like it's all the sort of same.
Not someone who ticks all those boxes for you, though, Johnny. It's gonna sound weird. If you want someone who's got Celtic minded and who's played at the club, who's worked in a similar role previously until recently, until January of this year, I think it was, and whose brother has used to be a scout at Celtic and is now one of the lead scouts down at Brighton. You could have done a lot worse than bring Paddy McCord in. Me and Willie interviewed him not long ago.
Yeah.
And that's the role that he was doing at his club at Derry City. So he was doing the same role.
Look, again, but you make a good point. This is why it's kind of like we all kind of go, yeah, that's good. But because there are competent people who you know and you can trust that are connected with Celtic. It will fit into the ecosystem, so there's nothing wrong with it. There's like
City, John.
Yeah, and it's just exactly. We just kind of go, yeah, all right, that's fine. But then it would just be nice now and again to get, and again, and maybe it's just been biased to people being affiliated with Scotland, Celtic, or Ireland, and you're just kind of like, oh Christ, even in football players, and you kind of want someone exotics like from the Italian league, or I don't know, from Ajax's academy, or some nonsense like that, right? Because that might make you feel a little better that they've got a foreign name. I don't know, but it's just something a bit different. Like a different approach might be.
Weird, though. It's so luscious. It looks like it's from the Mediterranean area.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, just get him under the sunbeds and I'll pretend he's Italian. I don't know. Yeah, look, it's at the end of the day, I'm not even remotely bothered that Darren O'Day's been appointed. Again, I think he's good, a good coach. I think it's an appointment which we very much needed. So yeah, here's to the future with that, and hopefully it actually turns out to more academy players breaking through, and we wouldn't be in a position where we're desperate to go and sign another left back or another centre back or whoever, or even maybe a goalkeeper, right? Like maybe we don't need to do that because we've got this fantastic up and coming 19-year-old or 20-year-old or something that can just slot straight in.
Yep.
That'd be good, 100%. Wouldn't it?
So we're going to go to our final thoughts, Johnny. So do you have one ready or do you need some thinking time?
Oh, yeah, maybe I'll be better thinking time.
All right, I'll go mine first. I don't know who watched the Nottingham Forest game the other day, but we thought our refs were pretty bad up here. And I spoke about previously on the pod that I've always thought the English system where the refs have to declare them and their families' allegiances, like what clubs they support, where they live, all that, so they don't get any, clashes sort of thing, is the right way to do things. Clearly, this didn't work on the weekend because Nottingham Forest put out this tweet, very extremely poor decisions, 3 penalties not given, which we simply cannot accept. We warned the PGMOL that the VAR is a Luton fan before the game, but they didn't change him. Our patience has been tested multiple times. Nottingham Forest Football Club will now consider its options. I'm like, now that's a bit of a mic drop. So it's good to see clubs just being absolutely blunt about it.
I don't know what their options are, by the way. What, just kicking up having a hissy fit and stropping? Much. Yeah, that's the options they have. Suck it up or go home.
If it was one, you can live with it, but when it's 3 times in a game that you've said that, it kind of does look sus. It's kind of like Rodgers' whole thing about calling out a certain person getting in Robertson's ear.
Yeah. Yes, look, VR is not perfect, but yeah, it's good to see teams finally fighting back a bit.
Your final thought, Johnny?
All right. Well, it's been, like I said, it's been weeks, so I had to go back to the last time, but not really a music recommendation, but more like, let's remember that they exist. I went to a Simple Plan gig last week, which was fantastic to hear, I don't want to say skater rock, but it was basically skater rock, right? The sort of pop rock of the early 2000s into the sort of 2010s. And the gig was brilliant. They had big beach balls and confetti cannons, and I don't know if there's many Brisbaneites listening, but I think the Fortitude Music Hall is one of my favorite venues in Brisbane. I think it's just kind of got a bit of a sort of suave class to it, and they kind of used it all. And let's listen to Simple Plan again once in a while. We're just kids, and life's a nightmare.
And welcome to my life.
Yeah.
All right. Cheers, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Check out our social channels. They're up on the screen here. Go to Celtic Down Under if you support Celtic Down Under podcast. But now merch, there's t-shirts, hoodies, bottles on there. Thanks, everyone, again tuning in, and we'll see you on Thursday. Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.